Would you like to know how to heal cancer, neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy, that is, open wounds, and a number of other very, very damaging conditions with one particular therapy? Well, my name is Harun Rabbani, and I have with me an expert in this area, and we're going to be focusing on ozone therapy. Without further ado, he is a founder of the Truly Heal Academy and also the director, and he created a phenomenal DVD back in 2009 called Cancer is Curable Now. Welcome, Marcus Freudenmann.
Welcome. Oh, hello, Harun, and nice to have me.
Brilliant. Nice to have you and nice to have me too. So I've got a number of questions. We just want to hit the ground running. Now, when most people think about ozone, they think about the ozone layer. So they think, okay, is this the ozone layer? We shouldn't damage the ozone layer. Why would we use that? So can you explain what ozone is and ozone therapy is?
Ozone is a natural occurrence, and that's why it can't be patented. It's a protective layer that protects us from the rays of the sun so we don't get damaged. It's created by lightning. When lightning happens within a cloud, it strikes and it splits two O molecules, like oxygen molecules, splits them in half, and then you have two quivering singlet oxygen molecules, and they are very, very highly energized, and they can't stay alone. So either they find back together or they attach to O2, which means we have all of a sudden out of O2, O3, and that is ozone. So when you have lightning in a cloud, you produce always a certain percentage of O3. And that's what we can smell after a lightning storm. It's when the air is so fresh and cleaned because it kills off all bacteria, fungi, mold, algae, all the things in the air that cause disturbances or, make it foul.
So a lot of doctors all over the world, I mean, they understand it, but they still say, despite it's having a massive positive effect, it still is dangerous. Can you explain what they're talking about?
Well, doctors are not meant to use ozone because it is too cheap and pharmaceutical companies don't earn any money. It really is that way because there is over 7,000 research studies from Germany alone. If you take Russian studies, if you take Chinese studies, it's an extremely effective and popular treatment, but because you just need oxygen bottle, which is then converted in a generator with that lightning into ozone, you don't need anything else. The ozone generator lasts you for 10,000 hours. If you calculate about 5 minutes per treatment, that's 250,000 treatments that you can do with an ozone generator. And then you add on top of that a bottle, one bottle, probably about $90 or $100 in the UK, which is then converted into, I would say, about 2,000 treatments. So in that regards, it's just only the doctor earns money, and that's why they don't support that and actually ban doctors from using it. And there is easy propaganda. Manipulation of the mind is very easy. They can change everybody's thoughts just by pushing out information that makes people scared.
So in the UK, particularly, ozone isn't being used at clinics or hospitals or anything like that. Not that I'm aware of anyway. But I've heard, particularly around in Europe, they're using IV treatments to administer ozone. In other words, needles. So how do people use ozone at home without having to resort to needles, which I'm sure is going to be very expensive if they did do as well?
Well, the concept with ozone is you need to get it into the body, and you need to get it through the mucous membranes. It's absorbed through mucous membrane. If you don't inject directly into the vein, which is a great thing, I don't say it's bad. If we have a doctor who does that treatment and he is open to it, that's perfect because you have probably the fastest effect. 3 treatments, 3 major autohemotherapy treatments will compensate for 5 rectal insufflations. So you need to do a lot more with rectal insufflation, for example, to have that systemic effect than you can do with IV. If you inject ozone directly into your vein, and they start doing that now all around the world, then the results are even faster, and you have just 2 times per week. But the problem is they use massive needles, and that's a problem for elderly, that's a problem for children, that's a problem for people who had already a lot of IV treatments. And then there is those who have a needle phobia. You know, it's not a simple thing to have blood pulled out. And a lot of people faint when they see it. So when you pull blood, then you swill it in a container and then you drip it back in. So let's just say it's for that niche group, which is probably the majority of the people. They can use rectal insufflation. And there is a Cuba study. Cuba has done a lot of work with ozone, and there is a lot of very, very excellent clinics and doctors that use explicitly ozone for many different diseases. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But what I found is that their study shows that really the convenience of doing it every single day, 5 days a week, and then you have 2 days off, and then the next 5 days. And they've developed a protocol where you start with very low concentrations, you build up slowly momentum into a higher, and then you go through. This is phenomenal because everybody can do it. Children with celiac disease, children with autism, with on the spectrum, they use tiny quantities in a syringe with a catheter, insert that into the colon. Children don't really realize it, and it helps with healing the gut. It helps healing their villi. It boosts their immune system. It reduces their inflammation. It reduces their food sensitivities. You know, 1,000 factors that are so important to know, and it's proven to work. That's the best thing. You know, we have 82% success rate for most treatments. 82, and that's scientifically tested treatments that work for those patients. So when you see the results, you can all but get, you know, completely excited.
So how long has ozone therapy been around? Because I've not heard about it until very recently.
Well, it's about a 40-year-old treatment that is, 40 years of research. And when you look at the early papers and what they wrote, compare it with hyperbaric oxygen, compare it with Ardenne, compare it with any form of life-giving. Just stop breathing for 3 minutes and you'll die, right? So it's something, we need oxygen to be alive. Every single cell needs oxygen to build that enzyme shield that protects it, you know, to defend against bacteria, that defend against virus. And that's what we know. When a person dies, what happens? Bacteria take over and deteriorate the body within a very short time. So when you have plenty of oxygen in the system, and that's the only thing in life support that keeps a person alive, your body is able to build that enzyme shield, superoxidase dismutase, catalase, and glutathione peroxidase. They protect the cell from invasion of bacteria. There is plenty of bacteria in us. So as soon as that enzyme shield breaks down, bacteria can invade. That's when chronic diseases happen. So keeping the oxygen level high, and some people always get confused when I talk about oxygen and ozone. Ozone is excited oxygen. So it's just the same form as oxygen, breathing oxygen, just in a potent form, because that singlet oxygen, which is so highly energized, is released into the body and gives the body extra energy. And secondary, the form of ozone itself, when it comes as 3 molecules, kills off pathogens. It kills off cancer cells. It kills off dead cells. Not dead cells, they're already dead, but it kills off cells which are borderline, which are not healthy anymore. So it causes a detox reaction, cleansing reaction, and rejuvenates the body.
Well, and I think it's very important to know that when it kills off dead cells, it makes way, like you said, for the rejuvenation process. Otherwise, They're just hanging about. It's like, you know, having something rotting in your body, right?
Well, ozone is probably better known in the beauty industry because they use that full body bags and pack people into a full body bag, ozonate that for the oxygen uptake because it takes away the wrinkles and the old skin and makes you look beautiful and young again. So, you know, we use it in many different forms. Dentists use it to clean out the jaw, clean out bacteria from the mouth. It's a very popular treatment, works really well. But for the health industry, it's been banned by the pharmaceuticals. And I know, you know, we have delivered to England so many devices. There is such a huge demand. And I believe your doctors don't really do it publicly and openly, but they still do it.
No, and so they should. So how would this ozone therapy compare to hyperbaric therapy?
Like I said, it's probably par on par in regards to oxygen uptake, but it has that added benefit of giving you that singlet oxygen, which kills off pathogens. And that drive that your immune system gets when you compare immune cells against each other after hypothermia treatment, hyperbaric treatment, or an ozone treatment, the ozone activated form is 5 times more active and also has more tools. We always say, your immune cells are the soldiers, but they need weapons. And zinc, selenium, for example, are weapons for them. If they have vitamin C, they convert that together with oxygen into the killing effect to kill cancer cells with hydrogen peroxide. So all of that plays a role. But as soon as we give them ozone, they have like machine guns. All of a sudden, they are triple as effective in killing pathogens than if they have not.
So at the top of the interview, I mentioned the fact that it helps heal cancer and so on. So what conditions can people expect to be able to heal using ozone therapy? Can you just go through?
That's the beautiful part. I've studied only for cancer. Making the movie Cancer is Curable Now. My main focus is always cancer. I've been to probably 120 clinics around the world, and all of them use ozone. So it was already part of the deal. It's in our movie. We show it, 10 years ago. And so cancer was my main focus. But then I realized that people use it we're working at the moment for a movie for autism. And that's, it just switched. Why do they use ozone for autism? And why do they use it rectally? Because they heal the gut. And we know that autism is always related to mercury poisoning. It's always related to heavy metal poisoning, bacteria overgrowth, a wrong milieu, and food sensitivities galore. So all of that taken together, I learned that it's used in that form. Then I went to a clinic, a very exceptional doctor. He's treating children with eczema, and he heals the gut, and he uses ozone with insufflations. And then we started to research. So the main focus that you really can say is healing the gut, healing leaky gut, which is perforation of your gut or gut permeability. And that's a very, very severe disease because bacteria can enter into the bloodstream, which should be sterile. So you boost your immune system dramatically to clean up the body from all those bacteria, but it also helps to heal the gut. It repairs the tight junctions. The second disease that is phenomenally working with it is external, open wounds, any kind of wound healing, expedited wound healing, infected wounds, diabetic neuropathy, diabetic gangrene, when the leg turns dark because the blood doesn't circulate through the capillaries. And that's a big problem because the blood pliability, so that the blood can reach those fine capillaries, is achieved through ozone. So all of a sudden your dark legs turn bright again because the blood starts to circulate. Then secondary, it expedites the healing process. If you use the bagging from the outside, we've seen wounds that was 4 years, getting constantly worse. And all of a sudden those wounds turned skin over the top. The pus came out. It started to clear up. And within 6 weeks, a leg that was supposed to be amputated, or a foot or a toe that was supposed to be amputated, was repairing and healing. So ozone is proven to work with that, and actually with over 90% in wound healing. So it's phenomenal. So we have wound healing, we have cancer, we have diabetes, leaky gut, and infertility, female reproductive organs, hormone balancing. So it's very, very effective there. There is actually a clinic in Cuba that prepares women for pregnancy and cleans out the fallopian tube and repairs. It's used for detoxification of plastic toxicity, all the phthalates and, from shampoos, from creams, from everything. And what have I forgotten? Leaky gut. It's infectious diseases. Yeah. Think about infectious diseases. You have Lyme's disease. Lyme's disease is very complex. You need to do a lot more than just ozone, but it helps you reduce the bacterial load, reduce the viral load, because all heavy duty Lyme patients always have viral infections as well. So it's a combination of two. And it's the only thing that kills virus in our body. So it's a really beautiful thing. It flags all your pathogens with heat shock proteins. I could go on for hours. We have started with different diseases, and it just expands and more. And the more I do, the more clinics contact me and doctors come to me and say, Marcus, look, we've been using it for this disease now since 5 years or 10 years with great results. So we're getting more and more. And it's phenomenal. And you know what it is? Simple oxygen. It's oxygen treatment. It's an oxidative treatment that just boosts your health in a very massive way. It's simple to use. It's simple to do. And I think at that stage, I would recommend for people, if they really want to learn about ozone, this is just giving you a bit of an overview. We have a weekly webinar where we have at least, 2 hours. It's always coming to 2 hours. We always plan 1 hour, but I have built blocks of question and answers into that webinar. So when you join, you can ask questions. You can go through with me all the individual pieces. We cover every disease. We cover how it's treated, all the different modalities that it can be applied, conjunct treatments, how you combine it with other treatments to have greater effect. So instead of me sharing all of this here, why don't you join me for a webinar? They're always, I think it's Wednesday morning, so it's Tuesday evening for you in England. But on the website, it's listed, and we have a beautiful calendar where you can book in. But it's a regular webinar. You can ask your questions, and we go through a whole lot of content where you learn how to use it yourself.
And so to book on the webinar, they just need to click the button below and just sign up.
Yeah, it opens up a little window, shows you your local time zone. So just select that, because you don't want to do it in my Brisbane or Australia time. So just select your time zone, select the time and the date, and you'll be booked in for that webinar. And we cover so much ground. It is definitely a more practical webinar. I have my studio set up, so I can show you how to do it. I can show you how to connect all the little bits and pieces and how to set it up, how to use it. I won't show live rectal insufflation, but
now please don't. We'll believe you. I'll take your word for it. Brilliant. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, I would say if people really are concerned about their health, and they would have a treatment that doesn't treat simply the symptom, headache, but look, why do I have a headache? What do I need to change to reverse headache? Then that's the webinar for them. Because I'd hate going after those treatments and cures and do this and do that. It works. It's never done. We always need to go back to the root cause. And once we remove that, it's very easy. And ozone treatment covers, when you look at the whole spectrum of applicability, then it covers so many different areas that trigger disease that it's one of the most, it's for us one of the most effective treatments of all.
Brilliant. Marcus Freudenmann, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Now, if you want to join the webinar, click on the link below and register straight away, because this is going to be phenomenal. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.